Welcome back to another episode on the See Through It podcast. Episode number 5. Today we are talking Big 12 conference football. In my opinion, they have great offense, but they lack the defense. They lack competition, but some of the games are pretty exciting when you have the bottom feeders throwing up 40 points against your supposedly elite teams. It makes for good football, I guess. But today we're talking Big 12. Give a warm welcome to the returning co-host, Miss Bama Bo. How are you today?
How you doing? So, listen, I'm gonna do like I get energetic, right? So, but on Friday, if we're doing SEC on Friday, it's gonna be more like a woo woo. But today it's more like a because they're not great.
They're not great.
It's not a great conference.
They're in the middle of the road trying to find themselves. That's why today is Wednesday, so that means they're number 3. Maybe they can improve. I don't see the teams really getting any better. But today is Big 12 talk. So on the board, as you see, our topics, Jalen Hurts is the number 1 topic. So Jalen Hurts, they've been talking about it for a while. Is he going to be the number 1 quarterback for Oklahoma? And finally, Riley says he's going to be the number 1 quarterback. We all knew as soon as he transferred, he was going to be the starting quarterback. I don't know why coaches play these games where they have to see. You're getting a Heisman candidate when he was at Alabama. Why would he not be your starter when you have freshmen and a sophomore, I guess, as your other quarterbacks? Why would you not choose the veteran to run your offense? But he's the quarterback, and how do you feel with Jalen being the starter and all the noise that's been created around Jalen in Oklahoma?
Well, it's as an Alabama fan, I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm done with it because as an Alabama fan, I can't emphasize enough that I am a Tua fan because he's on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the quarterback I'm most concerned about. This one is gone. Now, that said, and that's not to be disrespectful. I think he'll do fine. This conference may be tailor-made for him. But the problem that he's still going to have is if he faces any kind of a defense, can he go down the field? That's been the whole problem with him all along. Mm-hmm. We know he can run a little, he can do some sideways things, but he couldn't ever really go deep down the field. Very inconsistent. So can he improve on that? And is it going to be in air, which is typically what these Big 12 defenses are? Which, by the way, if you love offense and no defense, then that's the conference for you.
Yeah,
it just is. Absolutely. I mean, it is. So, but, we'll see. I mean, he's, I think it's putting the cart before the horse right now to make any suggestions about, Heisman's and things of that nature. But if you look at their schedule, I think it sets up nicely for them to end well. And because of that, I think you're going to hear that talk.
Oh my!
And it may not be so much off production. It may not be so much off production. Mm-hmm. Just to say a little bit about some skewed things with Jalen Hurts was because I've heard this more than once. And again, this is no disrespect. It's just as a fan watching it. More than once, they've said, well, he'll shred these defenses. I don't really know that to be true because he didn't really shred mid-major defenses at Alabama. He didn't. He mainly ran the ball. Mm-hmm. So has he improved on his passing? We'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's got the quarterback guru down there, or over there, wherever they are. Yeah. We'll see. But he... it's the down the field. It's stretching the field that has always been the Achilles heel for Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, the inconsistency down the field, the mid-range has always been okay, and the ability to scramble and get out of the pocket and over run people over and outrun people. He's always had that. The issue is throwing the ball, reading the coverage, progressing through your wide receivers, and finding the one that you need to throw the ball to. He's had that issue. So if he's put in the work this offseason and if he's improved his accuracy, and I think that's the one thing, like in the NFL, they always talk about quarterbacks accuracy. Cam Newton, they're still talking about his accuracy. I don't know if players improve their accuracy. I'm starting to believe it's something you have or you don't have. And I'm not saying he can't get it, but it seems like it's either you're going to have it or you don't have it. Like it's either you have the power and accuracy, or you don't have the power and you have the accuracy. Alex Smith for the Chiefs, when he was there, he never had the power. He couldn't stretch the field. That was always the conversation. He could never stretch the field, but he had the accuracy, mid-range, short. He had that. So I don't know if quarterbacks can gain the accuracy, but we'll see. It's his team. He doesn't have to worry about someone tapping him on the shoulder like, hey, if you mess up, you're coming out. This is his team. All the chips are right there on Jalen to produce. He has the talent around him. He has the talent. So
no, he does. Yeah, and I'll tell you the one thing that I did notice improvement on, and that's just to be clear. Okay, so when he was inserted into the Georgia game, the Alabama championship game last year after Tua got hurt, the one thing that he had improved upon was easy. He was still keeping his eyes downfield as he was running out of bounds. The old Jalen wouldn't have done that. The old Jalen would have just ran out and lost the yards or no gain, what have you. But he did keep his eyes down the field at one point when he was running to the right and did launch the ball. And that was a huge play. That was the one where he caught Jalen Waddle. All right, well, that was a little bit of a difference you saw in him, was he was keeping his eyes down the field. But we never really saw progression as far as multiple reads or the accuracy, because he might make a throw like that, but then he might turn around and make what you call a hospital throw, which is just a simple throw across the middle where you're putting the guy in the hospital that catches the football because he's going up in the air and it's maybe underthrown and the linebacker is going to come in and nail him in the side. So he still had those throws that didn't improve a lot. So, we'll see. Again, different system, different conference, different defenses. So he may do all right.
Yeah,
it sounded like I just went on a 15-minute bash, but I was really just trying to explain what I thought had improved and what I thought really had not, that we had seen.
Right. No, that I definitely I agree with that. The conference, especially the schedule. The schedule is set up for Oklahoma nicely. I went back and looked at that the schedule, and it's. But you won't hear anything about who they're not playing or the cupcakes on their schedule. They do have Houston. It's Houston.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's Houston. And other than that, they have no one else. So they did play Ohio State the year before, not last year, but the year before. So it seemed like they take breaks off. They'll play a Power 5 and then be like, okay, well, let's make sure we're making sure that we getting the wins that we need to accumulate. So the schedule's set up nice, and his stats, if anything, him running the ball on the ground will be a highlight reel for all season. It's going to be a highlight reel for them. But we'll see how that schedule pans out towards the end when they meet Texas and Iowa. So we got next on the board. We got go.
Brian, just before you go to that, I was going to say one more thing about Jalen Hurts. I think we'll also notice a big mismatch just with his simple size. This guy's size is going to be superior to probably most defensive players he sees. Yeah. So he will be able to probably escape and run the football more than he was able to do in the SEC. For sure.
He's a big, strong quarterback. Easy. His workout videos, I've seen him on Twitter. That he's a strong. He's not Kyler. I wouldn't say he has the quickness as Kyler, but he has speed, and when you look at him running, it doesn't even look like he's moving fast. But he's out there moving fast, and them trunks, them legs. He's a strong quarterback. So he's gonna be up there. He's gonna be up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we move on, we're talking defense. Good defense versus bad defense. All season long, I'm sure you're gonna hear it from ESPN analysts, and the ESPN analysts are going to say, well, the Big 12, they play defense. This is just a great football game, 60-70, and there's over 2,000 yards. This is just great offensive this is just a great offensive game. Like this, there's great defense in this conference, and I just want to break down what good defense looks like compared to bad defense. Bad defense is when you're playing Baylor and you allow them to score 60 and your team has 70 and you've allowed them to have 600-700 yards. That is bad defense. There's no way. That's not an elite team. That does not equal good defense. That is bad defense. Good defense is when, I'm not even going to speak about Alabama because people are already, you Alabama. No, I'm going to talk about another team. Let's go with LSU. Well, no, I'm not, because LSU's been kind of up and down. You know what? I'm just going to talk about Alabama. That's Alabama's defense. When they play elite teams that have elite offense, the defense, they bend. Sometimes your defense is going to bend, but they're not breaking. You're not seeing 600, 700, and with a score of 60. You're not seeing that. You can definitely, Alabama's not giving up these scores to Duke. They're not going to do that against Duke. You're not going to watch Duke put up 50 points with 500 yards. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see Alabama give up those type of numbers to schools that you know should not be scoring like that you know should not be moving the ball like that. Good defense is playing a good offensive team and bending sometimes, but not breaking. In the Big 12, those teams break on defense at the snap of the ball. Defense has been broken down as soon as they snap the ball, and it's going to be a touchdown as soon as they snap the ball. That is bad defense, people. Do not allow ESPN and their analysts to trick you to believing that the Big 12 plays defense. They don't. They don't.
No. And if you pick a team like an Alabama, or we go LSU most of the time, and even probably Georgia these days, but we look at stats after the game, and as like an Alabama fan, I'm infuriated if like the other team has more than 200 yards passing or 100 yards rushing. I mean, you don't want those combined. Like I want it way less than 500 total.
Yes.
Total. I'd like around 3 really, but you can't always get that.
Right.
But the good defense is, here's what they do, and it's exactly what Clemson did to us in the national championship game, which is what we usually do. Clemson, they were allowing a little bit. They were allowing you, but they get you to the point where, and this is what Alabama would do, get you to the point where you have to score touchdowns. Field goals are irrelevant, and they let you go between the 20s, and you really think you're making progress, and they let you go down the field just a little bit. Then what do? They put a chokehold on you, and you can't score. That's good defense.
That's good defense.
You got to give it to them. That's good defense when you get down inside the red zone and they give up nothing.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
I definitely agree with that. Allow, again.
But you don't see that in that conference.
You don't see
every time anybody gets in the red zone, they score.
And even outside the red zone, it's always an air show. It's 50, 60-yard pass, or even a 3-yard pass that turns into a crazy scoot all the way to a touchdown. Like, are you tackling? Do you want to tackle? Do you just want to throw flags on? Like, you just want to pull the flags? Like, what are y'all out there doing? That's not defense. That's horrible defense. That's horrible defense. So
there's never pressure on the quarterback, and the receivers are running wide open. It's just a terrible conference for defense. Terrible
conference for defense. So I mean, that was a quick topic, but I just wanted you guys to realize what good defense and what bad defense looks like. That's not good defense. It's horrible. It's horrible defense. That's with decent offense. I'm not even gonna say decent. It's good offense with bad defense, and the defensive coordinators for each team should feel ashamed that they can't. You know, the only team the only team that plays defense in that conference is Kansas State. They're built like an SEC team. I like Kansas State.
Yeah, they just never quite have the manpower, but they are built like that.
They don't have they don't have the skills. I don't know if it's because they're located, they can't recruit in that area or what, but they always have the defense. They have the line, the offensive line, the defensive line. They have they're set up like an SEC team. They just can't They can't win games. They can't win games. And that's the only team that I would say.
You talk about, yeah, but you talk about like defense. Here's the thing that this is what kills me about these teams, and I never understand it, why they don't realize it. You know, Gene Stalling said this years ago, and it still to this day matters. He says defense wins championships. Well, if you don't believe that, go look at the stats on all these games, because Clemson didn't win off their offense. They won off their defense. If you look at that Alabama championship game last year, in Alabama, we got manhandled, but the stats don't reflect that, because Tua had pretty decent game. I mean, his stats were not much different than Trevor Lawrence's. The difference is their defense dominated.
Got the stops when they needed to stop.
When it mattered.
Exactly. They did a lot. They did some bending, but they did not break when they needed. They needed to stop. They shut it down. They shut it down. So as we transition to Texas, last year after the bowl game, Texas beat Georgia. I didn't see Texas winning that game, but Texas beat Georgia, and the quarterback, Ellinger, said, "We're back." He said the Texas Longhorns are back after that bowl game. It was a big victory, them beating Georgia. That was a big game. That was a big victory for the Texas program, which has been bad since playing Alabama in that championship game, just to throw that out there. Since they played Alabama in that championship game, the program has been down. But beating Georgia, do you feel like the Texas Longhorn program, do you feel like they're back to what they used to be?
I feel like they think they are, because you know they do think it, and you know I hate to be one of these people that says, oh well, you know Georgia wasn't, because I'm never going to defend Georgia, never, but you know Georgia didn't really care, but I do sort of feel that way. You know, Georgia thought they were going to a championship, and then they get this bowl game against Texas, and I do think there's something to that. You know, it's happened to Alabama. You go to the bowl game and you lose against a team you really shouldn't lose to. I don't know how much stock you put in it. I really don't. I don't know that Texas is back. We'll see. Are they probably the second best team in that conference? Hands down. Absolutely. But I don't really know if that means anything just yet.
That is very true. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that statement. We're back. Like, it was 1 year. I need to see consistency. I need to. You got to do it this year.
Yeah.
You got to do it next year.
Yeah.
And this year, if that's your statement, your opening statement, we're back, and the season starts. The season starts when you play LSU. That statement better be true. We're back. You better bring your game, because LSU, they're ready. They had some growing pains last year. They showed some progression. So LSU is coming in that game, and they want to show that they're ready to challenge Alabama in the West. So, my dad said something. Yeah, Texas saying they're back. So the season starts week 2. That's the game. Texas has to have it. If they don't take that game, that's gonna be a snowball effect. I feel like that game, if they lose that game, that's the season. It's just downhill from there, because they put they put that weight on themselves. The quarterback put that. We're back, so get ready. We're back. We're taking the Big 12 title, and we're punching the ticket for the playoffs. Right now, we just beat Georgia. Give us our ticket for the playoffs next year. So if they don't come, if they don't come ready, LSU, it's not gonna be a good season. So we'll see. I need to see consistency from Texas. So is that how you feel?
But you know, teams do that. That's a bold statement with one bowl game. You know it, like, oh, we're back.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. And why would you even say that? You know, wouldn't you just rather a player just be like processed? You know, just the player says, "Yo, that was a good game. We're going to enjoy it, and now we're off to next season."
Yeah. I hope.
Why say that? Why just?
It's emotions. I'm gonna chalk it up to, he was feeling very good. They just beat Georgia, the number 2 team in the SEC, who was trying to get to the playoffs, and they beat Georgia, so he was riding on an emotional wave. So the words came out, and maybe the week after he thought about that and said, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But we'll see. If they feel like they're back, they gotta prove it against LSU, and they got to take after they take care of that, they're gonna have a Iowa State. I think everyone is. I'm just throwing this out there. I think everyone's overlooking Iowa State, but pay attention to Iowa State this year. If Texas stumbles against LSU, they might lose to Iowa State. If Iowa State, if they take care of business against Iowa, then I feel like Iowa State will be doing some damage in the Big 12. Not saying they want to win the Big 12, but they're going to cause some teams to trip up, and it's just going to be a trickle-down effect. So Texas better bring that game. No more talking. The season is on the way.
And Iowa State, they're never going to win anything ever. They're never going to win anything ever. But they're sort of like an ant at a picnic. You just kind of try to kill the ant. You pick your picnic up and you move on. But they just kind of keep. They're just that team that will constantly drive a team crazy. But they're never going to overpower you. Mm-hmm. They just might slip in and make your life miserable for a hot minute. But that's just Iowa State. They're never going to win anything. Right. Never. But they can slip up and beat a team that you wouldn't expect every once in a while.
Absolutely, especially that quarterback. I like the quarterback. I like the weapons on the outside. I'm not saying Iowa State gonna do anything major, but they will be a trip hazard if teams do not take them serious this year. They will be. Oklahoma beat them by 10 earlier in this year. Texas beat them by 10. Oh no, 14 actually, 24-10 later in the year. And it wasn't a pretty game by Texas. Oklahoma could have easily lost that game against Iowa State. I watched that. So Iowa State could be a trip hazard for both of those teams and Iowa, because I'm pretty sure Iowa feeling pretty good about where they're sitting at. So Iowa State, keep a lookout.
And you think about, okay, Brian, you think about, you go back to Texas and LSU because this is their season. Mm-hmm. So if Texas loses to LSU, which I think they do, I think LSU beats Texas, and it's going to be a question of can they bounce back and what their mentality is, because they're going to still make it, probably, and play Oklahoma twice. Mm-hmm. But the mentality, can they win everything else on their schedule? How do you bounce back from week 2? That's the real question with Texas.
Well, we will definitely see come that game. We will definitely see. As we transition to topic number 4, can the Big 12 get 2 teams into the playoffs? Will they get 2 teams into the playoffs? There's 4 spots. Right now, the Big 12 has 2 solid teams, Oklahoma and Texas. Can both of those teams make the playoffs?
I don't think either one of them does.
What? Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Neither. Oklahoma?
Think about this.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. That's probably just my heart on that one. But, so, I'm just being honest. It probably is. I'm female. I have the right to do that. No. Okay, so, yeah, Oklahoma could make it. They can. I still, there's only 4 spots. And, you feel like 2 of them is going to be Alabama-Clemson, assuming Clemson escapes their season, which we don't know. That's up in the air. But assuming it's Alabama-Clemson, we'll just assume that for a minute. Mm-hmm. There's only 2 other spots. So, somebody from the Big Ten is going to get in. Ohio State, or, if they can, win all the games on their schedule they're supposed to win and win their conference championship, then there's 1 spot left. Now, what if you've got a 1-loss LSU, a 1-loss Georgia? Maybe Georgia's only losses to Alabama in the SEC championship game. You're really only vying for 1 more spot, possibly. So who knows if the Big 12 will even get in at all.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
That is crazy. I never even thought that the Big 12 would not. That wasn't even a scenario that never even played out.
I'm not saying they won't. I'm just throwing another scenario out there, because I've thought about it every way to Sunday with the schedule that like an LSU has. What if they have 1 loss?
Oh,
who's going to get that spot?
My mind is blown.
Because you figure if one of these Big Ten teams, right, if one of them has a decent schedule and gets in, then you may only have one other spot. I'm just saying, it could happen.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Well,
but that said, Oklahoma's got to lose somewhere, right? They got to lose to Texas one of those times.
Oh man, that's going to be a nightmare. So that's the scenario.
I'm just saying Oklahoma has to go undefeated. That's all I'm saying. They've got to go undefeated.
Okay, so
I do think so.
They have to go undefeated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do think there's a chance Texas can get them. But we got to see what mentality Texas has if they lose to LSU.
Right. Okay. So here's the scenario I came up with. I goodness gracious, my mind is still trying to wrap itself around no Big 12. Holy man. Okay, so
I just like to be different, Brian.
That is different. Apparently, my dad feels the same way. Other people, they feel like Oklahoma might not make it. So, okay, well, so I came up with. Maybe I'm the only one on this island, but I came up with maybe Texas loses to Oklahoma in the regular season, and then they play them in the Big 12 championship, and they beat Oklahoma. And I didn't even think about LSU or Georgia. I felt like, well, Georgia would play Alabama, and they would lose, and then the committee would be like, well, you lost at the end. But then Oklahoma loses to a high-ranked Texas team in the Big 12 championship game where they just be like, you know what? Let's just put both of these teams in there. Oklahoma ran the conference all year long. Texas won the championship game. Let's go ahead and put both of them. Let's see what two Big 12 teams do. That was just me. But now I'm like, holy mag, if there's no Big 12, now I'm going to hear a conversation about, well, throw a Pac-12 team in there. Put another ACC team in there.
I don't think either one of their schedules are strong enough.
Oh, they're not.
Because you look at Texas, and even with a one loss, and if you look at Oklahoma with a one loss, I think they'd be done. Because I think you would have to take a one loss even in Georgia or LSU with that type of schedule, or you could even throw in a Texas A&M if they escape their schedule. My God, if they escape somehow with one loss, you got to put one of those teams in, and you still got the Big Ten champion. Yeah. So. Two of those teams ain't getting in, Brian.
Wow,
and maybe not even one of them. Wow,
oh, my dad is chiming in. He's saying Oklahoma lose two games to the Cowboys, Oklahoma State Cowboys, and to Texas. Oklahoma State almost had them last year.
I can see it.
Oh man, I'm on my island by myself. I definitely was feeling like maybe the Big 12 can get two teams in. That's a crazy scenario. That will be a headache. I don't think I want to.
If that happens, if that happens, Brian, it is doomsday. Yeah. Like I need to get my water and go in a bunker somewhere because there is no way two of those teams get in.
Well, let's say Texas and Oklahoma lose. The firestorm that will be created if the narrative is, well, the SEC is always there. Now we're going to have Clemson, Bama, Georgia, LSU, or Clemson, Bama, Texas A&M, and LSU. Like, people are going to lose their mind. That's going to push the argument for a 14 or a 16, 18.
Oh, it will.
Oh my God.
No question. Yeah.
I don't want to sit through that.
But it's happened before. It's happened before, two SEC teams in there, and that's going to happen. I just think you have to. Maybe it's just a good thing I'm not on that committee.
Oh, my God.
Maybe it's just a good thing. Yes. Because I'm telling you, I would take a one-loss SEC team any day over a one-loss Big 12. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are.
The storm that's going to be created is just I don't want to hear it all season long. I don't want to, because so those losses will happen, week 8, week 10 or something like that, and then we'll hear that all the way until it's time for the playoff to be selected. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I don't like that scenario at all. I was fine not even thinking that the Big 12 wouldn't even be in.
But see, it could happen, Brian. Think about it. It could easily happen. So it could easily happen. Think about it. So LSU beats Texas, right? If that happens. But then what if Texas turns around and beats Oklahoma? Now both those teams are sitting there with one loss.
You know what's going to happen, and this is going to be bad. All those teams get those one losses, and then Boise State is undefeated, or somehow they justify one loss or even a 2-loss Pac-12 champion to come in. Like, I don't want to see Oregon, or if any team should make it from the Pac-12, maybe Utah, but I don't even want to see that. I don't trust the Pac-12 in football. The fans don't even trust the Pac-12 in football. So I don't want to see them in the playoffs at all. And that's going to drive that. If all those teams have one losses, somehow they're going to sneak in and give it to Boise State or someone in the Pac-12, and it's just going to be like, and then those games are going to start, and let's say Alabama gets matched up with one of them, and it turns out, or Clemson gets matched up with one of them, like, what is this? The game's over in the first quarter. Now the TV analysts are just making up things to talk about. It's like, nope, that's not good TV. You're wasting time. Players are going to get injured. This is a waste. So teams, do what you're supposed to do. Do not lose the games you're not supposed to lose.
That's right. And think about this. Brian, you still got Notre Dame sitting there that we talked about yesterday. What if Notre Dame goes undefeated? We're running out of spots. There's only 4. If you've got a one-loss Texas and you got a one-loss Oklahoma and a one-loss SEC team, and say that only loss was in the SEC championship game, and you got Clemson maybe sitting there, and this could be a, and I'm just throwing this out there. I don't necessarily believe this. Don't get me wrong, but this could be one of those weird seasons where everyone has a loss. You never know. So, but if they have losses, and then you still got the Big Ten, which I just frankly think they're going to make get in. I really do. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless it's a 2-loss Ohio State again, a 1-loss Big Ten will get in. You watch, but. Then what if you got Notre Dame sitting there looking pretty good? Just saying. That's why they need to join a conference. This is a problem.
Yep. The strength of schedule, I think it should definitely. I think they would definitely weigh that in if everyone has a 1-loss and you got maybe 2 teams that's undefeated, or everyone has a 1-loss. They'll definitely, I feel like, would have to go back and review these schedules because, like I said, Texas and Oklahoma schedules. I mean, besides the one game against LSU, their schedules are pretty laid back. The conference, you cannot tout conference. I'm playing my conference. Like you're playing Baylor, Kansas State, Kansas. You're not challenging yourself. So Clemson the same way. They're not challenging them. So they have Texas A&M, and besides that is it. So schedules are going to have to actually weigh a lot this year. If the scenarios that I am hearing right now are true, the strength of schedule will be very big. So people who are already
win your games.
Win your games and win them handedly. Do not win a game by 3 points that you should have probably beat that team by 3 touchdowns and think that was an okay victory. No, it's not. It's not an okay victory. Beat that team like you're supposed to. Leave no doubt, like I was saying yesterday, and everything else should take care of itself. Especially if your schedule is solid. So, goodness gracious, I'm ready for the season. I have to see how these things pan out now. Oh my gosh, I can already feel the stress of trying to figure out the playoff teams. It's 4 teams. Maybe we should do 5. I'm not really feeling that 6. The number 1 team should just get a bye and then get whoever wins in the play-in game or something like that. I'm not really feeling 6 or 8, maybe 5, but yeah. 5 seems much more reasonable.
I'm just saying there's a conference going to be left out. Think about it. There just is. You feel like the SEC champ's going to get in, right? Because it's either going to be an Alabama or a Georgia with 1 or no losses, period. Mm-hmm. And the SEC champ's going to get in, and the ACC champ's going to get in. Most likely.
Yeah, they're not going to leave Clemson out because that's your defending champion. And if they finish strong, then they're not going to leave them out. they'll let them.
And I just really think this is the year they want the Big Ten in somewhere. If they can,
Oh.
if they can have. The problem is you can't lose to Iowa or whatever by 30 or whatever. I mean, you just can't do that. Win the games you're supposed to win.
You can't lose to Purdue late in the season. You have to beat those teams. You have to beat those teams. But Purdue, Iowa, Ohio State, we will be talking about those teams tomorrow in our upcoming show tomorrow, Big Ten Outlook. So make sure you tune in to that. Thank you again, Bama Bo, for being here for the Big 12 talk. We didn't even talk about. So who do you have winning the Big 12?
Gosh, this is going to be hard and head. This is going to be hard, different than head, obviously. Okay. It's. I mean, I guess the sexy pick is Oklahoma, right? I'm going to go Texas.
You're going to go with Texas? Oh, another.
Why not?
Another stab at Jalen. Is that what that is? Another. Oh, man.
After I just said a few minutes ago, I'm not sure Texas is back.
I'm gonna go with the safe pick. You blew my mind with that scenario. I'm gonna go with Oklahoma, and I'm hoping Oklahoma take care of business, finish the season undefeated, and
I'll say this, Brian. I'll say this. They'll probably win that conference.
Yeah.
Oklahoma will probably win that conference. I just am still saying there's a scenario where they don't get in.
Yeah, and that's what because I'm scared. Like, again, I see the scenario, I understand it, but I just feel like the committee would just do something dumb and put, let's say UCF is undefeated somehow, and they say, you know what, let's give UCF a chance. That's going to be ugly. They're not ready for elite talent. That's going to be. I don't care if they beat LSU or whoever they beat. They're not ready for supreme talent, and the coach. I digress. I digress. So, anyway, people, thank you for tuning in to another episode on the See Through It podcast. I am your host, Brian Sells. We will be here tomorrow we'll be talking the Big Ten outlook, and then Friday we'll be talking the SEC. If you're paying attention to how we had the schedule set up, Pac-12 was Monday, Tuesday was the ACC, Big 12 was Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday on the Big Ten. So 5, 4, 3, we're leading up to the best conference in the college football. So again, thank you for tuning in, and
which is why they could have 2 in.
Who say it again? Say again?
I said you're leading up to the best conference, which is why they could have 2 in.
We will be leading up to the best
conference.
Go ahead. We will be leading up to the best conference come Friday. So make sure you tune in, share, like, comment. Let me know how you feel about everything that's been said. What are your thoughts on the scenarios that we just drew up? Until tomorrow, I'll see you guys later. Peace.